It's time for another Elsie's Little Pickles, the pickle pod for the people, reminding you all to take part in the pickle protest by leaving a pickle on the MAGA supporters' porch. Take a picture of it and send it to us at elsieslittlepickles@gmail.com.
Pickle porch pegging.
Pickle porch pegging, that's what we're calling it. I love that, pickle porch pegging. We got a full pickle barrel. We got Kiefer and Colton here, so it's going to be a fun show. So a couple things. One, I'm fascinated with. Go ahead. You got something?
I was just going to bring up, since we were talking pickles, my new favorite sandwich right now is a local deli has got homemade chicken salad.
Yeah.
And so I'll get chicken salad with spinach, bread and butter pickles, and black olives.
You had me all the way up until the black olives.
My favorite.
I hate olives, but the combination of the black olives with the bread and butter pickles with the chicken salad
is amazing.
Just works.
It makes it a little salty than normal, and it just I hate black olives. The black olives on this, no.
My favorite pickle sandwich is dill pickle and peanut butter.
Oh, wait, you pregnant?
It's surprisingly good. The Prego's got something going on.
Back in the day, you used to do peanut butter and barbecue sauce.
I did.
That's vile. Come on.
Yeah, no, I did. But it was because it was all we had. Like, fucking cupboard was bare, and I'm like...
Nowadays, that's just called a peanut sauce.
You know what it was my favorite, though, actually, was to do peanut butter with mac and cheese. Leftover old, day. Oh, I know, it sounds horrible.
You weirdo.
The best, though, the absolute best was the Miracle Whip and chip sandwich. That was the best.
You know, we found out the hard way that peanut butter and salami is a really good sandwich, but it is the most effective laxative I've ever had in my life.
Now, I'm going to have to tell you, you may think that, but in truth, the best laxative there is sugar-free wafer cookies.
Well, and sugar-free gummy bears.
Oh,
yes. Yeah.
Okay. I'm not willing to do any of that, even though I'm the one that did those weird sandwiches when I was a kid.
It says on the packaging of the wafer cookies not to consume more than one serving.
Really?
Yeah.
I believe it also says that on the gummy bears, and
It does now. It didn't originally.
Yeah, very early in my life, I saw a video of a guy eating a 5-pound bag of sugar-free gummy bears because he had heard that it would do that, and it did that.
Yeah, I ate half of a package of sugar-free wafer cookies.
And then you Z-barred it your toilet bowl.
My stomach was doing these weird noises. Oh, it was like summoning Satan out of my butthole.
Oh, me.
Yes. And so I ran to my bathroom, and I was there for about 4 hours.
Oh, my God.
I'm pretty sure I saw my shoes come out.
All right, so moving along from your bowel movement.
It's very concerning when you don't know why.
Oh, yeah. You want a fucked up story like that? I had a bladder infection, right? And this is back, I was probably about 20, 21. And I got a bladder infection. And so I go to the doctor, and he's like, well, here, just, get this prescription filled. And he had said, as I was walking out, and I didn't fully hear him, but then I came to realize what he was saying. He said, don't be surprised if when you pee, it's a little shocking, right? So next day...
Could use a little more description.
Yes,
shocking
exactly.
As in it's a funny color, shocking that I'll want to rip my own dick off.
Yeah, exactly.
It's so painful.
But I didn't...
What do you mean by shocking?
Like, I didn't fully hear it. I thought that's what he said. You know what I mean?
Well, I know UTI medication turns your piss bright neon orange.
Yeah, no, that wasn't the color. No. So the next day, I'm working at the gas station. I have to take a leak. I go in there, and I piss blue. I'm not joking. I mean, bright fucking blue. And I freaked the fuck out. And the girl that was working I had to call her in. I'm like, tell me that I'm seeing what I'm seeing. It's like, you pissed blue. I go, that's what I thought. All right, enough of that fun stuff.
Enough of the pee pee poo poo.
Yeah, exactly.
A beep beep boop.
Yeah, who's making a boo boo? So the story that has just, I don't know, for some reason fascinated me is Trump talking about the tariffs and how they're affecting people, and he came out and said that maybe instead of 30 dolls,
you could have two.
You could have two, and maybe they're going to be a little bit more expensive.
They call me Two Doll Donny.
That was the nickname that I was going to give. Donny Two Dolls. Donny Two Dolls was actually, it was created by Lawrence O'Donnell, and I read that news story, and I laughed my ass off. Donny Two Dolls. That's his fucking mob name. Donny Two Dolls. That's his mob boss name. I love
for the
that.
audience. And he refused to tell us ahead of time what this nickname was. That was organic.
Yeah. And that was fucking way organic. I didn't expect any of you to get that.
Saying that is part of my first story. It goes a little bit further, where for the first time since 2022, our government has admitted that the economy has shrunk.
Oh, yeah. So that was the other part of it that was beautiful, because basically what Trump was saying is, if you take out the tariffs, and if you take out how I fucked up the economy, look how good it is.
If you take out the negative numbers.
If you revert back to Biden's economy.
No, but what he said is...
To which my response to all of that is, you know what, guys? If you take out every other podcast, we have the #1 listened to podcast.
Yeah.
Ain't that the truth?
I love that he's also blaming all of this shit on Biden.
Yeah, I get a kick out of it. But, I mean, this idea...
Biden's economy was not perfect. I don't want to come off as if it was. It was not perfect.
But it was also...
in any way.
It was handed off by Trump to him in a fucking shambles.
Yeah, again, I'm not going to sit here and claim that Biden's economy was
perfect.
Is the I'm not going to say that he was I'm not going to say that he was a good steward of the economy. He wasn't. But it was night and day difference to this.
Every month under Biden, the economy grew.
And inflation pretty much always shrunk. Not every month, but damn near.
It shrunk or stayed the same for the most part.
For the most part. And I get it. People
Trump is
were
marching us headstrong into stagflation.
Well, now, after that announcement, the stock market has again started a tailspin. And to the point that business owners are telling and warning shoppers that they could start seeing empty store shelves soon.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, they're going to, because, I mean...
Not just toilet paper.
We're sending and receiving empty shipping containers.
Yes.
Because it's more important somehow to maintain the movement of the ship rather than the movement of the goods.
Well, see, the problem is that I don't think they're going out empty. They're definitely coming back empty.
No, we're sending empty. We're sending and receiving empty shipping containers.
Which is just fucking ridiculous. So, couple things with that. There is a Australian billionaire who is buddied with Trump as well. I can't think of his name. I forgot his name and I misplaced.
David Geffen?
No, it's a guy I'd never heard of.
Rupert Murdoch.
No, and somebody else. But anyways, he's all about all these tariffs and everything like that, and he's all about Trump. And, it just kills me, because what they don't realize is that, or they do and they just don't give a fuck, is that 80% of the toys are made in China.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? And the stores right now, they're putting in their orders now for Christmas. But at the end of the day, not to kind of make a pun out of it, I mean, talk about being...
Anthony Pratt?
That sounds familiar. He's like worth $12 billion or something like that.
Australian billionaire known for his friendship with Donny Two Dolls.
Yeah, Donny Two Dolls. That was Lawrence O'Donnell originally, and Colton, you fucking just blew my mind by coming up with that on your own. So I know this sounds cheesy, but I mean, what this boils down to is between these two idiots, talk about Christmas being more about scrimping on the Barbie than anything else. If they think that the best way to make the stand against the world is not having toys on the shelf at Christmas. To
be fair, I am opposed to the consumerism of literally every holiday, but especially Christmas.
Same here.
It's one of the things that I think is absolutely ridiculous about the American system. And it's not that it's bad to give a gift on Christmas. That's not the problem. It's the consumerism.
All right.
Right?
So my policy has always been,
but that's still not freedom.
you give the kids the gifts.
Yeah.
You don't have to give all the adults gifts because they're adults and they can buy whatever the fuck they want. Why are you wasting all your money so you can buy something that they're just going to ask for a fucking receipt for in the first place?
Right. Just spoil the kids. It's fine.
Spoil the kids. And now we won't even be able to do that. So when that does take effect, all right, not only are we going to see shipping affected, you're going to, and through shipping, you're going to see the supply chain fucked up. You're literally taking away the opportunity for these businesses, whether that's Target, Walmart, toy stores, whatever, to make money.
Well, yeah, I mean, your Barbie is going to be $200 and you're going to have to buy it in an alley.
Right. And that's kind of what I'm saying is like, there's a reason they call Black Friday. It's because that's the day that gets them out of the red and into the black on the ledger. Mm-hmm. So this I don't understand how long he thinks he can do this, because the effects of what he does today will not be fully felt until December, January, February, March. Guess what? Now we're creeping into 2026 elections. We're creeping into the midterms.
Yeah.
He is,
and people are going to remember, man,
they're not going to be
horrible Christmas, because
they're not going to be able to forget, because it will continue, because he keeps making these bad choices, and the length of the tail on these choices is what he is not taking into consideration. Or if he is, I don't know why he would still make these decisions in this way.
Mm-hmm.
And what the fuck is going to happen when, look, I remember, like, every year there's always the hot toy, right?
Yeah.
So the one of the hottest toys, and I don't even remember how long ago this was, but it was Tickle Me Elmo. And yeah. And trying to get a Tickle Me Elmo, I mean, you want to talk about near impossible. And people were ready to fucking stab you in the toy aisle for it.
And I'm sure especially on Black Friday.
Cabbage Patch Kids were the same thing in the 80s.
Yep. Yeah.
You know, certain Star Wars toys during the 80s, same type of thing. So we have,
I feel like my generation, it was like a Razor scooter.
Yeah.
You know, like a Bakugan. Those were really hot when I was like 7.
Right. But getting even those things at that time it was very difficult to get a lot of the
difficult but doable.
It was doable, but you were going to a bunch of different stores and you weren't always successful either. There were some times where it was like, you're just not fucking getting it. Sorry, kid. You know, but that's what the joy of being a parent is finding that toy that the kid, even if there's no other toys that kid gets, that one toy that is like, that's the one that they want more than anything else. I mean, parents go through hell to get that one toy, and they're just not going to be there. You know what I mean? And I think that when Christmas comes and a lot of kids are crying because they didn't get that one toy, forget 30 Barbie dolls, forget 2 Barbie dolls. How about that one Barbie that they really, really wanted? How about that one, star or action figure or Marvel figure that they really, really wanted? You know what I mean? Like, there's going to be a lot of fucking disappointed children.
I couldn't get you Barbie, but I got you Marnie.
Yeah.
I know for me as a kid, often it was Nerf guns because I
Right.
just really enjoyed Nerf guns, right?
No, you were insane with fucking Nerf guns. I was
It
worried
really
about you.
enjoyed is an understatement, but yeah.
Yeah, I was
But
worried.
my point being, like, if I was never the kid to like throw a fit
No,
because I
you were
didn't
actually, and in fact, there were some times where I told you, hey, the order didn't come in on time. Sorry, but it's coming. And even at
You know
7,
what?
8 years old, you were like, as long as it's on its way, I'm fine. I don't have to have it today. Like, you were a very
Remember my
mature,
favorite
But
young.
not every kid is like that.
No.
I remember my favorite gift that I got Colton for Christmas.
What was that?
Was it? I remember the RC car specifically. Was it that?
No. It was actually the Hulk hands.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Oh, he fucking, I got hit in the nuts so many times.
Yes, I remember.
That's why you got them for me, isn't it?
I remember standing at Auntie's counter. You were telling me about when you got a snippy snipped and that it wasn't so bad. And little Colton ran up. Look, Dad.
Boom, boom.
Right in the
Doubled me over.
balls.
Doubled me right the fuck over.
I was like, oh, that couldn't have worked out better.
Yeah, I know. You were very proud of yourself.
Not only timing, but just the fact, like, I know you did that on purpose.
Well, I'm a
You saw where
I'm
it
a
was going.
giver.
You saw where it was going.
So
It was either that or a set of drums.
So there's one other story that came up, and this is very much disconnected from all this. It has to do with the new Harry Potter series. Now, I couldn't re-find the article, unfortunately, but essentially from what I got from the brief time that I was able to read it is that all of these actors, I mean, we all know that J.K. Rowling is anti-trans. She just doesn't buy into it. And that's her right, okay? That is absolutely her right. It doesn't take away
Which
from...
doesn't make sense since she created Polyjuice Potion. Just saying.
Yeah.
Also, just saying.
I just have to point out her. First of all, I understand where you're coming from. It's her right to believe that.
I'm not saying I agree with that. I'm just saying it's her right to believe it.
I'm just pointing out that it's absurd that she does believe that, because if we take her word, which I mean, questionable, but I'll half glass full. Let's assume she's being honest. Her defense for being so anti-trans was, well, I struggled with gender dysphoria when I was young, and I didn't have the ability to make a change for myself or act on it. It's like, first of all, you did. You could have. I'm not saying it would have been comfortable. I'm not saying that back then was easier than it is today. None of that. But what I'm saying is she could have.
Well, to me, that actually, I didn't know that. And that actually explains it to me way better, because it's much like an ex-alcoholic or drug addict who is really, really on board with the program, or an ex-smoker. Those are the worst, ex-smokers. I used to smoke. I smoked for 30 years, and you should quit fucking smoking. You know what? Shut the fuck up. Yeah, shut the fuck up. I'm not interested. And I do believe, so it does make sense from that point of view that she felt denied, and that triggered something in her noggin. It doesn't make sense to me based on the fact that she fully embraced the idea of Dumbledore being gay. So,
well, she's what's online called a TERF, which is essentially
a turd?
No,
trans
TERF.
Exclusionary radical feminist. So she's progressive on a lot of other things, but she's so virulently anti-trans that she's embraced by the right wing.
Now, but here's my problem with the whole thing. It made sense that, the three main characters from the movies, Rupert, Daniel, and Emma, they came out and said, when that all was going on, we disagree with this, and they do.
Yeah.
And they do that's their view. And again, they are entitled to it. Mm-hmm. But this new Harry Potter series comes out. And if I'm remembering the article correctly, basically what it said was like over 100 of cast and crew members had signed on to this letter basically saying they support trans rights. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't like that. And I'll tell you why I don't like it. Because that's groupthink, right? So I will put money on it that out of those 100 plus people, One or two of them felt pressured into doing that. And that's why I don't like it. Okay? I don't think it's right. I just don't think that it's right that you pressure people to conform to an opinion. Your opinion should be your opinion, regardless.
I think people are more progressive than you give them credit for.
That may be true.
First thing, and you're also talking about actors and actresses and other creative types, whether that's sound designers or,
I've been around them all. I know exactly where you're going with this. They're all probably on board with this, but I guarantee you, even if it's one
or not, even if one or two are not, they didn't have to sign it.
No, but there's that pressure. This is a big project. It's being brought by HBO.
I'm not saying that there isn't social pressure.
That's my point. Is they're being socially pressured into signing this. Everyone's signing it. You need to sign it next.
What's wrong with social pressure?
Hold up. For the record, there is no. They have to sign anything. I just asked AI, and it said that is completely untrue. Some cast members, though, and it gave a list of a few, have publicly supported trans rights and signed an open letter, but none of them have been forced to sign anything.
Well, that's good.
On top of that,
that's good, because what bothered me, and again, I didn't have the opportunity to finish.
It's the forcing that you have an issue.
Yes, whether that's by peer pressure or anything else. Because, yes, you can say, what's the matter with the little social pressure? Well, that's peer pressure. And you know what the fuck is the matter with peer pressure? It's not always for a good reason. And so, therefore, my logic is peer pressure under any circumstance is a bad idea. And it taints the idea of what you're trying to do in the first place.
I disagree on the basis of social pressure is a tool. Okay, so yes, you're right. It can be used for bad things, right? I'm not saying that that's incorrect. It can be used for bad things. But what I am saying is when you're talking about something as benign as saying, yes, we support trans rights, we support human rights, we support, XYZ, LGBTQ rights, on down the line. That's such a benign thing to say that we support and we encourage you to support as well.
Okay, but my question on that, and I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I have to on this one. My question on that is, what the fuck does it matter? This should not even have been brought up. I get it. It had the ability to be brought up because of J.K. Rowling's past on this and present and probably the future. I can give you an
answer. I can give you a direct answer why.
This cast should be able to come out on their own individually, but
sure. I have an answer though, and it's marketability, because most people are more progressive than you would think. Most people either support trans rights or simply just want people to exist and don't really care.
All right. So if I put together a series, TV series like this one, or if I do a movie, all right, and it has nothing to do with J.K. Rowling, do I have the same right to encourage people to sign on to this?
I mean, I guess. My point is J.K. Rowling's anti-trans attitude is not marketable. It's capitalism.
No,
it's capitalism.
I get that though, but you can literally say, look, this is not, this has nothing to do with J.K. Rowling's view on trans. We're redoing the Harry Potter series. Okay?
But that inherently has something to do with J.K. Rowling.
Okay.
She wrote the stories.
So when you go to Universal Studios, before you hop on the fucking train in Harry Potter land,
you're paying her royalties.
Okay, yes. But do I have the conductor going, by the way, welcome aboard the Hogwarts Express, just so everyone knows I am very supportive of trans rights?
No, but if I'm not mistaken, Universal has, and Disney for that matter, are very vocal about their support of trans rights, because that means more people are willing to.
And that's what got them into an argument that they didn't have to be in with fucking DeSantis. And that's why they went through all the lawsuits. That's why they lost their fucking, the way that they were handling business before, where they were in charge of everything. You know what I mean? So I just find it
My point is just it's rainbow capitalism. It's marketing. That's it. I agree with you. It can be perceived as silly.
It's ridiculous.
And it
Okay.
can be
And mind
it
you,
can be
I'm
perceived as
very
social pressure.
I'm very supportive of trans people. Okay. I shouldn't have to say that. I shouldn't have to blast that out into the world. But here's the deal. Those who are against it, ignore them.
It's kind of hard when the government is run by them and wants to actively suppress them. That's
a political argument, though. That's a different arena. Is my argument.
Entertainment is always political.
Let me change the perspective of this a little bit for you. What would happen, Steve, if you had finished your show and no one clapped? Because they didn't feel the need to support you.
That would be fine.
The same idea.
Yeah, but that's fine. That's fine. If they don't, if they enjoy it, they clap.
You feel a little let down that nobody supported you.
But that's on me. Okay? Is
it though?
Yeah, it is. Because if I don't get the applause, if I don't get the laughter, let's say I get the laughter, I just don't get the applause at the end of the show. Well, maybe there was something that I did, said, or something that happened in the environment that caused that circumstance to happen, which I would try to figure out, find out, or in the next show change. So I literally just, and again, the amount of trans people that exist in the United States comparatively to the population is very, very small. And anyone who has a problem with trans people, quite frankly, you need to find something else to fucking focus on. They're
right,
not
but first
hurting
they came
you.
for the communists, and I wasn't a communist.
No,
so
that's that you can't use that argument here. I don't think you
yes,
can.
I can.
All right.
Yeah, you can.
Fair enough. I'll let that argument. But I still think it's like the idea of acknowledging the people who are vocal against it. That's what gives it fuel. If you ignore,
correct.
And that's why I said I think it's different than that argument. Because if you ignore the few people that are so vocal about it, if you just fucking ignore those people, you ignore the J.K. Rowling posts when they do that shit. I think that that's more effective because then their voice isn't carrying. But when you have it blow up because everyone wants to make a story out of it and a drama out of it, then the very thing that person is trying to accomplish by being anti-trans is getting fuel for the fire and is getting brought up and into the algorithm higher and higher.
But again, it's basically a freedom of speech, but that is not a freedom from consequence.
Exactly. That's my point. That's exactly my point.
One thing that I just have to point out, I appreciate where you're coming from, and I do recognize that generally speaking, you're right. It's bully logic, right? So it's if you don't react to the bully, eventually they will get bored and move on.
Right.
I understand that, but that's not the world we live in anymore. Twitter changed that forever. Facebook changed that forever.
Yeah. Which is why I fucking hate social media.
Mass media changed that forever.
Yeah.
There will always be an audience, regardless if there's antagonism, regardless if we're fanning the flames, there will always be an audience for that. And that's the problem.
And that's the shame.
That's the unfortunate part about social media.
It's self-propagating.
Is that we do look for like-minded or at least a thumbs up.
Yeah. Yeah, because it releases dopamine.
And it's a shitty thing to have to do. By the way, please like us
on Twitter and on Facebook.
But the last thing I'll say on it is it's self-propagating at this point. There is no more just ignore it.
No, but like I said, it just bothered me because I am a fan of the work. Okay, I think you can be a fan of somebody's work and hate their opinion. You know.
Like I mean, Salvador Dali is a great artist, but he was kind of a fascist.
Yeah,
I really like the Facebook meme that says, it's 2024. I read this in 2024. It's 2024, and I'm realizing that half of my Facebook friends, I wouldn't want them to know where Anne Frank lived either.
Yeah, exactly. And it's I guess maybe that's kind of the underlying thing that I'm annoyed with. It's one thing that they did that, and I get your point, and I think you're probably right. It's marketing, and it's a way.
It's just rainbow capitalism.
Yeah,
that's it.
And I think that's probably a very accurate description of it. And again, I at first I resisted, but I do understand. First they came for them, and I get that. Mm-hmm. But really, at the end of the fucking day, at least my opinion is, I don't care how you identify. It makes no difference in my life whatsoever. And that's my biggest problem here is I don't understand why they give a fuck. I really don't understand why anyone gives a fuck if somebody is trans.
And you're right. But unfortunately, there are people that do. And because of that, and I don't know if you know this, but J.K. Rowling is a massive political figure in the UK.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
She's a massive political figure.
As far as, is she
literally just because she's anti-trans. That's it. Literally, that's it.
So, I mean, again.
So, because of that, her entertainment is inherently political, as is all entertainment to some degree.
So, all right, let me ask you this. Is it a trans if you don't recognize that it's a trans? Because you know what? There are some beautiful trans women. And you wouldn't know.
The question,
you wouldn't fucking know.
It doesn't matter. Like,
no, it does matter in this sense. It matters in this sense. If you don't recognize it,
what you're talking
how can
about
you be upset? How can you be upset about it?
What you're talking about is the concept of passing, right? So
maybe that's why they're so upset.
No, that's actually not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about it.
Crush is a trans, and now they feel weird about it.
Yeah, it could be. What I'm actually saying is not to say that there's not a lot of them that don't pass. Okay,
mm-hmm.
But my argument is if they do pass, you're anti-trans, and you go to get a mortgage, and the person who handles your mortgage or your bank teller or whoever the fuck it is, you have no idea that they're trans. They're passing.
Right. I mean, it literally makes no difference to your life.
It makes no difference to your life. But if you recognize that they're trans,
it also makes no difference to your life.
It also makes no difference to your life. But all of a sudden in your head, it's ruined your fucking day. Oh my God. We had a family member.
We live in a culture of outrage.
We had a family member. There's a grocery store right by their house. They went to it, and the only lane that was open was obviously not passing, and kind of I've seen this one. Barely,
possibly non-binary. No.
Like no, it definitively
you just called this one.
Well, this person. They're not putting a lot of effort into it. Okay.
Cool it with the microaggressions there, Steve.
Yeah. But seriously, I get it. Maybe it's, this is Temu availability as far as finances, but really there's not much effort put in.
I mean, it also possible they're doing bathtub estrogen or
I don't know what the deal is, but it clearly is a trans person. And like I said, a little bit rough on the eyeballs. This family member was like, I don't know if I can even go there again.
I don't dare hire this person.
I don't want to be around that person. And I had to say, how does that affect your day? Did your groceries get checked out? Did you pay the bill and then put them in your car and then bring them into your house? What part of that was affected so much that it ruined your grocery shopping experience, aside from the fact that you actually had to interact with this person? Which, quite frankly, we've all seen the chubby little basement dwelling, living at home in 35, 40-year-old man.
What are you trying to say?
Not you.
We call those neckbeards.
Okay. We've all seen the neckbeards. They work too. So I went to a restaurant. I'm not joking. I went to a restaurant yesterday for lunch, and this dude comes out, and he's not trans. He's not gay. He's not bi. He's not straight from what you can tell. Right. But he's this pudgy little doughy fucking weird looking person. I was more intimidated by him than I was.
A neck beard?
Yeah, he had the neck beard. Well, he had a full beard actually. But everything about this guy was creepy. Like everything about this guy was creepy.
Mhm.
So much so, I was a little bit worried about my special sauce. That's how fucking creepy this guy was. Okay? It didn't ruin my day. And by the time I had pulled out of the parking lot, I was over it. But for that period of time, this little creepy motherfucker kind of got in my head because I'm looking at him and he's just got that weird, he's just smarmy. Like everything.
Nothing better than dipping your nuts in the pasta salad at Kroger.
But that's kind of my point is like, I would much rather deal with the trans person at the checkout at the grocery store than have 20, 30 seconds with this motherfucker across the counter from me.
And you know what's horrible? That person, like that stereotype, I don't want to speak for that specific person because obviously you never know. But that stereotype of person also thinks that the government should have state mandated girlfriends.
Yeah. Let me tell you, this guy was definitively a candidate for that opinion. Okay, enough of the fun stuff. Let's get to Kiefer with the news.
We've been doing the news, bitches.
No, I didn't properly introduce you, so this is your segment.
Like the cold open.
Yeah.
Well, allow me to inform you that Putin is stockpiling tanks on the border of a NATO country.
Really?
Would that be Poland?
No. You would think.
I heard the worst dad joke. Two fish are in the tank. One looks at the other and goes, how do you think we drive this thing?
With Russians, with the
It's
Russians
horrible.
stockpiling tanks, I saw a report that Russia cannot sustain military presence through like the middle of 2026 because of how economically devastated they've been by their own war.
Well, the other aspect of it, and I don't know how this is going to work out. I don't think it's going to work out to the U.S.'s benefit, but the deal between Putin and Ukraine, Zelensky, the upside to it, and again, even a broken clock is right twice a day, so we have to give credit where credit is due. What that signals to Russia is that now America has a vested business interest, of financial interest in Ukraine being free and not taken over by Russia. That's the only thing that I can see is a true positive in that deal. Okay. And if that's the only true positive, I think it's worth it. If it puts Russia on notice that, okay, wait a minute, hold up. We've got to rethink what we're doing and how we're doing it. Maybe we do need to step up to the negotiations. Maybe we're
already running thin on military supplies. We have been since day 2, essentially.
So I do think that could be a positive. And if that turns out to be the case, then I'm willing to give Trump credit for it. The overall deal, the best I understand it, is it's not necessarily wonderful for the U.S. I mean, it's decent, but it's not incredible.
But it's also not good for Ukraine because they happen to hit the lottery, sure, with being arable land with a ton of natural resources, but it's a small country, man.
That's what I'm saying. Like, at the end of the day, I don't think it's really good for either side unless what this treaty or with this agreement signals to Putin is, okay, I gotta reevaluate the direction I'm going here.
Otherwise, I'm doing war with a U.S. ally.
Right. And
which they already were, but like more so, like an economic ally, which is worse than just an ally in name.
Right. And that's the thing is that I think that Putin, if he doesn't understand anything else, he understands that Trump is very transactional and will do whatever it takes to protect his investment. You know, even though it's not his investment, it's the United States that's making the investment. Trump sees that as, well, he just sees it as if it's his money. Like he thinks, you know, that he's king.
Well, he's president.
Yeah, so he thinks he's king.
The U.S.'s purse is his purse.
Exactly. And I think that in and of itself, along with the fact...
He committed suicide by stabbing himself 35 times.
Yeah. I guess my point is that I don't doubt that he's stockpiling equipment and armaments near NATO countries, but I think that's kind of the last hurrah for him. It's kind of the
Yeah, I also didn't get an answer. What country is it?
That's where I was going to go next. They're on the border of Finland.
Oh, fuck.
Yep.
Good luck.
Well, Finland and Russia have been fighting since they were essentially countries at all. So
since they were little boys.
the Finns literally allied with the Nazis just because they didn't want to
fuck with Russia.
Yeah, they didn't want to be they wanted to fuck up Russia. That's literally the only reason. And then they were like, "Wait a minute. Germany's worse right now."
Yeah.
So maybe we just back out.
Yeah, we flipped we called the wrong side of the
Kool-Aid
coin.
Man going out.
Yeah.
If you're ever interested in just the craziest military figure in history, I forget his name exactly. He was something. I think he was referred to by the Russians as like the White Death. He was a Finnish farm boy.
Oh, I know this story.
Yeah, when World War II kind of started, or like when it was like
he was the sniper,
up,
right? The sniper dude.
He was a sniper, but he didn't use a fucking scope.
No, because it would reflect.
He would pack his mouth with snow so that his breath wouldn't fog up and give away his position. He
was just like a good hunter in Finland and ended up in the military.
Yeah, and I think he had something crazy. I forget the exact number, and I don't want to be wrong, but if I'm not mistaken, it was something in the neighborhood of like 120 confirmed kills.
I think it was actually higher than that. I believe
it very well could have been. But
Simu is his name.
What is his name?
Simo.
Ah,
Simo. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, like the whole story is crazy, but like getting back to the current day, I do think that that's more kind of peacocking, and
Simo.
I wouldn't even be surprised if those tanks that are there are inflatables.
Could be.
You know what I mean?
I mean, that's been a tactic basically since tanks existed.
Exactly. It's been a tactic forever, and it would not surprise me at all if those were all inflatables. All right.
And considering how much the Ukraine-Russia war is mirroring World War I, that might actually be what it is.
Yeah, it might track. All right, next story.
December 22nd, 1939, he already had 138 sniper kills in 22 days.
There you go.
By January 26, 1940, he had 199.
I was going to say, I thought it was over 200.
By February of 17th, 1940, he had 219. By March, less than a month later, one day after he was wounded, he had a total of 259 sniper kills.
There you go.
And didn't he, he got wounded? I think he lost his eye, didn't he?
He got wounded like 3 times.
Yeah, and still kept going back for more. He's like, no,
He said no. Yeah, it's personal. Fuck these Russians.
or he was a serial killer. One of the two.
When he was wounded, it was because he actually got shot in the face, and he went back out.
Yeah, that's a motherfucker that they don't make him like that anymore.
I don't want to divert again. Yeah, I don't want to divert again, but that also reminds me of Wojtek, the bear that a Polish army division in World War II, I think, raised as from a cub, and this bear would slam beers and smoke cigarettes while also carrying ammo crates.
Bear.
Really?
Bear.
Would literally carry ammo crates to the front lines and shit. He would carry full an entire rocket over his shoulder and drop it off for the soldiers.
Don't drop it too hard.
Yeah, he would drop it off for the soldiers, and this bear actually got an official rank. They gave this bear honors.
Honey badger don't care. Honey badger don't give a shit.
Yeah, it's like shingles. Shingles don't care. All right.
You ever see the video of the honey bear and the cobra going at it? And the cobra is just striking the honey bear.
And the honey badger
is a honey bear or honey badger?
Honey badger. Sorry.
Yeah, it's just getting sleepy but still fighting.
Yeah, he's still fighting. I don't give a shit. You can't hurt me.
They're fucking crazy.
Well, they're the cousin of the Wolverine.
Yeah. And I honestly think might be a little bit more dangerous than the Wolverine. I don't know if that's true or not, but if you've ever watched, like you just said, the honey badger going up against a venomous snake or whatever, it's insane.
Yeah, the snake's venom has no effect on it.
At all. No.
I thought it made them like sleepy, but that was it.
Gave them gas.
I walked in your general direction.
I got a story for you.
Your mother smelled of
They give great
elderberries.
cuddles.
I have a news story for you. So John Fetterman is officially losing his fucking marbles at this point.
Okay. I saw the headline. I didn't read the story.
Yeah. So basically, from what I gather, there was a recent expose, like within the last couple of days, that said after his stroke, even his doctor noted how like aggressive and reactionary he got, which explains his he's always been pro-Israel and anti-Palestine.
Mm-hmm.
Not anti-Hamas specifically, anti-Palestine, right?
Okay.
He's always been pro-Israel in that regard. But it got amped up to 11 after his stroke. He also suffers from multiple mental illnesses from what I gather, and has in the past 6 months or so just gotten off his meds entirely, because who needs those?
Mm.
And then on top of that, he's also getting really angry with all of his staffers, especially if they speak up on any of his bullshit. He has even gotten into arguments with his wife. His wife is like possibly going to divorce him because like there was a call that one of the staffers mentioned in this expose saying like, I distinctly heard her screaming, "What happened to the man that I married?" And he said, "Okay, then I guess I'm not talking to you today."
Mm. Yeah, that's a shame. Now, do they think
also,
that that's all
super erratic driving? Like he scared a staffer half to death because he was driving like 95 in a 60 or something like that, and swerving and like reading a full news story while driving, not at a stoplight, while driving, reading a full news story.
So they were just basically riding with me.
Yeah. Yeah, until you've driven with Keith.
Yeah, so it's official. The leftists are once again vindicated in saying that John Fetterman has lost his fucking mind. And
do they think though that is fallout from the stroke, or do they think that that's
partially? Yeah.
Okay. And I think that's a valid question. You know what I mean? Because at that point, I mean, just
well, I mean that
if it
alters
becomes
your brain, that changes your brain permanently. Like even if it's even if it's minor, even if it's a minor stroke,
it can change your entire personality.
Yeah,
it has a lasting, permanent effect on your brain.
No, and I know that, but I'm wondering if they're blaming it on that, or if it's just when you're in Congress, it makes you fucking nuts.
It's the stroke, it's the stress, it's the meds that he's not taking, it's the mental illnesses that he had before the stroke that he still has and is not taking his meds for. It's all of it.
Yeah, that's a shame.
Well, hell, they blamed syphilis for the whole Hitler thing.
Really?
Yeah, you never heard that?
No, I never heard that.
Yeah, the story was he had syphilis and went crazy.
Again, I'm sure. I mean,
for as much of a clean freak as Hitler supposedly was, I don't think that he was out there slinging cock like that. I'm gonna be honest.
Hey, my name is
my name
is Adolf, and I am here to sling cock and take names.
No, he wouldn't call it. He would call it pinning the Medal of Crown on. I'm going to pin you.
That reminds me of another news story real quick. Sorry. Apparently, the leftists are also right that Elon, while having as many kids as he has, can officially be called a virgin. His cock doesn't work.
Really? How's that?
He does selective IVF.
Yeah, that is
also the right wants IVF to be illegalized for some reason.
The right might want it illegal, but Trump is all behind it.
Yeah,
so that won't happen.
No other president has knocked up so many women.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, Elon is both the father of 13 possibly 14 or more children,
Yeah,
and
the rumor is
also
22.
a turbo virgin.
Wow.
Yeah, the rumor is 22 children.
I would say that's probably more accurate. All right, moving on.
I got 2 more news stories for you.
Perfect.
One, I'll save the big one for the last. Well, I don't know if it's that big, actually. That's
Save
what
the
she
bigger
said.
one. Whichever one is more bigly.
I'll go with this one first. For the last 3 days, students in a Kentucky high school, have walked out because their principal hadn't been removed from his position yet. Their principal, it came out, was sharing text messages with a now convicted sex predator who had a relationship with one of the girls he coached. But the principal was exchanging messages such as who among the students would just get a sex toy or get smashed.
Oh,
And
Well, I'm with
smashed
the
as in
students
fuck.
on this
Yeah,
one.
I
Keep
gotta be
walking
honest
out
with-
until he's fired.
yeah, I got to be honest with you. I'm
Yeah.
I'm kind of on the student side.
So just today, apparently, they announced that he has been let go.
Well, fucking good.
But it's been
Good.
all over the news. But
Took a
this
little
brought
too
up
long, but good.
this brought up a question in my head, which is, of course, as always, age of consent. How in a lot of conservative states that age has been rolled back.
It's
And
true.
they have some funny laws even there.
Which is,
Because
that's so weird.
they have
because
Romeo and Juliet laws, but some of those Romeo and Juliet laws are a little like some of them where either way can be up to 15 years apart.
Wow, that's a bit much.
if I'm not mistaken, in Michigan, it's only a grace period of like 3 years.
Yes. However, do you know which state has the loosest
Kentucky, isn't it?
law? No.
Mississippi?
It's actually shocking.
Alabama?
No.
Hawaii. In
Well, you can't get
Hawaii,
away. That's why.
Quick, swim for it.
The age of consent is technically 16, but the person can be as young as 14 as long as the individual is not more than 5 years older or younger.
Wow.
Or younger.
Within 5 years.
Okay, that
Think about
needs
that.
to change.
All right.
Think about
So
that.
a 14-year-old and a 9-year-old is technically legal, is what you're saying?
Seems
That's
that
the way
way.
it's worded.
Well, I wonder if that's.
I don't like that.
Yeah, I wonder if it's if there's more to that maybe it's only forward, not back. I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I mean,
just
even
going
still,
by-
14 is that's.
Well, no, it actually in this little subsection says older. So
It says
okay.
what?
I mean, it's still
Yeah.
kind of.
Older?
It still needs
Okay.
to be changed because
Older.
14 and 19, that's
It's a
predatory.
big. Well, that's a big difference. You know what I mean?
That's
you figure,
predatory at that point.
Well, hold on. Okay, so
the
let's
old
say.
lady is 5 years younger than me.
Yeah, but,
Yeah,
I
but
mean,
you're both adults.
Yeah. So let's back up for a second there.
Are we?
Let's back up for a second there. It is, let's see, 9th grade high school. Most high schools, I think, start 9th grade at this point.
Yes.
Yeah, mine was weird. It started at 10, but
Okay.
most are starting at 9.
Mine did. I think yours did too, right, Keith?
Yes.
Okay. So it is possible, depending on what your birthday is, or if
Yes.
you were held back a year, to be a senior and dating a freshman. And I don't have a problem with. I don't have a huge problem with that. I still think that the gap between a freshman and a senior is a very large chasm. I would say that really you could go sophomore to senior.
Yeah, sophomore to senior, I can see. I mean, I would be a little bit of a hypocrite.
It's still
if I
a
said
little
not
bit
because I dated a sophomore when I was a senior, but
So did I.
sophomore and freshman, that's leaning predatory to me. And then once the senior is a legal adult and the freshman turns 14, that's weird. I'm
like
sorry.
I said, I
can't.
Not so weird in Hawaii.
I can see where, like, you know, a circumstance where maybe you transferred in to a school and, you know, you ended up being held back a year because of that, or maybe, you know, any number of circumstances that maybe you ended up, you know, let's say, for example, you had a health issue or something like that, and because of all the time you missed, you had to make up a year of high school. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
You're still emotionally high school as a senior, you know? So I think that that's kind of something that
Speak for
maybe,
yourself. I couldn't wait to be done with that shit.
no, I know, but
I was like, I want to be a man.
yeah. and then you were like, oh shit, that means I got to get a job. Fuck this.
I
Yeah.
wanna go back
Yeah.
and do it all over.
That was our fucking, I believe that was our fucking senior
Yeah, it
theme
was.
song.
You're seeing, yeah.
How did you remember that it was?
Because I just remember weird shit.
God damn, you are weird. All right, last news story, and let's wrap the shit
Last
up.
news story: Trump orders through an executive order the Corporation for Public Broadcasting and federal funding for the NPR and PBS.
Yeah, I saw that story.
Yep.
I don't think that that's gonna. I don't think that that's gonna hold.
I don't think it's going to fly because they're already saying no.
Yeah, and I think that the lawsuit is going to be a no. In fact, there was a judge that today said that the executive order that he was using to go against all the law firms is a no. So
I would like to also point out a budgetary, like strictly monetary point on this. So NPR gets less, I forget the exact number, but less than $10 million a year for operation, which is a fart in the wind for the federal government.
yeah, that's not even.
And PBS gets, I think, like 80 something million, which isn't nothing, but it's still nothing to the federal government of the United
Well, you do have to look at it
Trump
as
spends that in a weekend golfing.
Trump
Yeah.
really wants his birthday military parade, which is going to cost an estimated $92 million. Oh, I
For
one
one
what
day.
he's cutting. Yeah,
for one day.
I wonder what he's cutting NPR and PBS for.
Yeah. So I this was one of the things with that military parade, not to get off the NPR PBS thing, but I don't think that that's going to fly in court. And now you're starting to see, I think, the judicial system start to have a bit more of a spine with some of this shit. It'll be interesting to see how this playground, you know, bully gets put into place, or if he gets put into place. But I don't think he's going to continuously be able to pull the executive orders like he is without being.
I'm asking right now, officially, if Trump does a military parade for his birthday, I want every major news source to not cover it.
I would say the exact same thing. If the fake
Don't show
media,
up.
if the fake media has any balls, they will go blackout.
I can only hope, at least. But
I think that I think in some ways this is the best way to deal with that type of stuff, you know, and not to
if
go
it
back.
happens, they're going to cover it.
Well, not to go back to the trans aspect that we were talking about earlier, but I think that like I said, it doesn't affect you. Trump affects you, but he's also the playground bully. And in many instances, we have to ignore him.
MSNBC and CNN instead re-air the court case.
Oh, where he was convicted of 34 felonies?
Yes.
That would be sweet.
Replay that the day length news coverage.
That would be. It was kind of like when they got rid of in Detroit. They got rid of that one rock station, and they did it by playing for an entire week Garth Brooks' "Friends in Low Places" on repeat for like
wasn't that 89X?
89X, yeah. And they went country. And
I don't live there, and I didn't live there at this time, but even I heard about it.
Yeah, it was a pretty amazing stunt. But what they did was they played for an entire week straight, maybe longer. I think it was a week. Friends in Low Places, as a way to make sure that anyone who ever would listen to 89X or whatever the fucking station was would not be listening anymore. And I thought that was actually a pretty impressive way to get rid of your audience and find a new audience. I'm gonna just put a pin in it with this. For our listeners, pass this along. If it doesn't affect you, don't be concerned about it. You shouldn't be worried about whether or not somebody is trans or they're not trans, whether they're gay or whether they're straight, whether they're married or whether they're single, what kind of sex they want to have or don't want to have, whether it's a married couple.
The only people's crotches that matter
are yours.
The ones that you're going to see.
Right.
Which is yours and your significant other.
Exactly. It is time to fucking mind your own goddamn business. And with that, that's another.
Here is Garth Brooks with Friends and Lube.
You're an asshole. You're an asshole. Oh, God damn. Oh, shit.